Yes, students, this is the continuation of the chapter Why Do We Fall In? So, we have seen in our previous class the definition of health, the definition of disease, and what are the parameters to define our health. At the same time, we have seen what is the meaning of individual health and community health. Here, we are going to start off our discussion with the topic what are the causes of disease? See students, let us take a case. A small child, say infant of say 2 years, falls ill and the baby is suffering from continuous stomachache, loose motion and diarrhea. The infant is taken to the doctor and the doctor says the child is suffering from typhoid fever. Now comes the question, what caused the typhoid fever? The direct cause of the typhoid fever is Salmonella typhi. The actual agent or the causative organism. The absence of Salmonella typhi will never cause typhoid fever. So, this is the immediate cause. The immediate cause is the cause without which the disease is not possible. Now see, how did the typhoid or Salmonella typhi came in the digestive tract of the baby? It definitely came with contaminated water because it is a waterborne disease. So from where this disease your contaminated water came? It could be that the pipeline which supplied the water to the house of that particular infant got leaked somewhere and it got mixed with the sewage system. As a result, the bacteria that is Salmonella typhi came from or entered the water from the surrounding sewage water. So this surrounding sewage water nicked in the pipeline, contamination of water and then drinking the contaminated water are the contributory cause of the disease, which magnify the effect of the disease. Say they aid in the development of the disease, but they are not the actual cause of the disease. So, the causes of the disease can be divided into two types, immediate cause and the contributory cause. The immediate cause without which the disease is not possible and the contributory causes which contribute to the development of the disease. Now, the next question is, what are the types of disease? See students, the disease can be classified into two basic types, congenital and acquired. Congenital diseases are the diseases which are present right from the birth. And acquired diseases that we acquire in our lifetime. Acquired disease again can be of two types. As I said, diseases, congenital, acquired. Acquired can be of two types, infectious, non-infectious. The infectious diseases can be contagious, that is by the direct contact with the person who is suffering from the disease, you acquire the disease, and non-contagious. Means here you acquire the disease from someone but not by direct contact. It may be through the indirect contact like water droplets or aerosols or vectors, carriers, etc. And non-infectious diseases can be categorized into deficiency disease like your night blindness which occurs due to deficiency of vitamin A, scurvy that occurs due to the deficiency of vitamin C. Then you have metabolic disorders like hypothyroidism, You must have heard in your family, many people say that I'm suffering from thyroid problem. What is that thyroid problem? The thyroid gland is not able to secrete the hormone in sufficient amount. So the person develops hypothyroidism. So he has to take the supplementary thyroid hormone from outside. Similarly, diabetes, which occurs due to the deficiency of insulin. They are metabolic disorders. Then you have degenerative disorders. Like there are some diseases which causes like your right from the they slowly they destroy the specific organ, leading to the non-functionality of that particular organ. That is degenerative disease. Then you have allergies, very common nowadays. I have dust allergy. What does that mean? You are susceptible to dust, and dust stimulates an immune response in your body. Then you have cancer, uncontrolled growth of cells, and then injury. Here in this chapter, we will mainly discuss about the infectious disease. Now, infectious diseases are classified into various types depending upon the infective agents. Like the bacterial diseases are caused by bacteria, the most common one. Like just now I said typhoid fever caused by Salmonella typhi. Then you have pneumonia caused by Diplococcus pneumoniae. Then you have many such diseases. Then the viral disease. The viral diseases are caused by virus, and this needs no interaction. Very well known of, we all now know about the coronavirus, which causes SARS-like disease. Then you have the virus causing polio. Then the third group is the disease, fungal diseases caused by fungus. Like you have aspergillosis, ringworm, the skin eruptions due to the fungus, and then the helminthic disease caused by helminths or the worms. Like you have ascariasis caused by Ascaris lumbricoides, more commonly known as the roundworm. And then you have tapeworm infection caused by the tapeworms like Taenia solium and Taenia saginata found in the cows and pigs. And then you have the protozoan diseases caused by protozoa. The most common example being malaria caused by Plasmodium vivax, Plasmodium falciparum, Plasmodium ovale, and Plasmodium malariae. So, the malaria is caused by these 4 strains of Plasmodium. Then you have elephantiasis or filaria, which is caused by a protozoa whose name is Wuchereria bancrofti. It attacks the limbs or the lymph nodes of the limbs, and as a result, it accumulates the fluid or the lymph, and the lymph gland swells. And that is why it looks very thick, and we call it that the person is suffering from elephant foot or elephantiasis, because it mostly occurs in limbs. Now students, what is the need of categorizing the disease? The need of categorizing the disease is that it is on the type of disease, the line of treatment would depend. Because the medicine which can kill the bacteria will never kill the virus. The medicine that will kill the virus will never kill the protozoa. So it is very essential to know that what is the causative organism of the disease, and it is on that the line of treatment will depend. Let me give you an example in this regard. You must have seen that when you visit a doctor with a cough, cold, or something like that, the doctor gives you antibiotics. So, what are these antibiotics? This is a term we all are familiar with. So, what are antibiotics? Antibiotics are the chemicals which are derived from either bacteria or fungi, which are capable of killing other bacteria or other fungi. And the first antibiotic developed was penicillin from the fungus Penicillium by Alexander Fleming. So, how these antibiotics work? Antibiotics basically work with interfering the metabolic pathway of the various bacteria. All the bacteria, they have different types of reactions going on in their body, in their cells, which comprises their body. So in their cells, there are many types of biochemical reactions going on. And these antibiotics, they stop one or the other biochemical reaction. For example, the penicillin, it stops the formation of the cell membrane, or rather cell wall. So, if it stops the formation of cell wall, what will happen? When the new bacteria will be formed, they will be without cell wall. And for long, they cannot survive with cell wall, without cell wall. So, they will ultimately die. So, the penicillin antibiotic is interfering with the pathway that forms the cell wall. These antibiotics do not work against the virus because viruses are the organisms which have either no or very few machinery of their own. What they do? They enter the host cell and they take over the machinery of the host cell and utilize that machinery to divide themselves. And then they form the cell wall, a typical type of capsule, and they come out of the cell. Since they have got very few metabolic pathway of their own, these antibiotics cannot interfere with those pathways. In turn, what will happen if you try to do that? Because the virus is present within the host cell and it has taken up the machinery of the host cell, it will damage the host cell. That is why antibiotics do not work against the virus. They only work against the bacteria. So, it is one small example why we need to categorize the the types of diseases. Now comes the question, how do the disease spread? There are two ways of the spread of the disease. One is called the direct way, the other is the indirect way. The direct way actually involves exchange of body fluid. So body fluid should come in contact with another body fluid to get infected. So it could be saliva, it could be sexual contact, it could be blood contact, anything. So you know, AIDS spreads from the exchange of body fluid, either sexual contact or using the needle with that a person who is already affected has used, and that needle has been used by a healthy person. So the healthy person also gets the AIDS disease or HIV infection. Then it could be the direct contact with the soil which has the bacteria or the infective agents. It could be through an animal bite, like how the rabies spreads. Rabies organisms are present in the mouth of the dogs, and if the dog bites, that gets transmitted into the body of the person whom the dog has bitten. And as a result, what happens? The healthy person now suffers from rabies. And then from mother to baby infection. If the mother is having some disease and that causative organism crosses the transplacental barrier, that is the barrier of the placenta between the mother and the baby, it crosses that and enters into the body of the baby suffers from the same disease. And that is why if the mother is suffering from HIV infection, the baby gets the HIV infection. And then we have the indirect method. Indirect method is mainly through vectors and carriers. Now, vectors and carriers are both living organisms which help in transferring the disease-causing organism from one person to another. But vectors, they are those living organisms in which the disease-causing organism which they are carrying completes a life cycle of their own. Let me give an example. The Plasmodium. The Plasmodium is a protozoa which causes malaria. I've told you. This Plasmodium protozoan is present in the blood of the infected person. When female Anopheles mosquito bites the infected person, it sucks the blood. Along with the blood, it sucks the Plasmodium protozoa. This Plasmodium protozoan completes a part of their life cycle in the gut of the female Anopheles mosquito. And after that, when the Plasmodium has completed the life cycle in the gut of female Anopheles mosquito, then when it bites a healthy person, again the Plasmodium through the saliva of the mosquito gets inside the blood of the healthy person. So the healthy person also gets the same infection of Plasmodium. But in case of carriers, what happen? Like your flies, the insects, they sit on the contaminated food which has got the microorganism, and then they sit on the healthy food. And what happens? The good food which was devoid of any contamination now gets contaminated with the microorganism, and when you consume that, you also develop the disease. Here, just the fly or the carrier is a physical agent which carries the infection from one place to another. Next is your food, water, air. They are all the sources of indirect mode of spread.